Hello, everyone. We are here for the webinar of the month. We are going to be talking about today effective ways to work virtual design into your business model. We are actually joined by Jenna from the EDesign Tribe. How are you doing today, Jenna?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good. And so we're going to be talking about how to effectively work virtual design into your business model. And I actually have Jenna here because she's had the EDesign Tribe for several years now and has had tremendous success. So we are happy to have Jenna here, and let's start the webinar. So Jenna, tell us about yourself.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So excited to be here. This is one of my favorite topics, and it's one that I get asked a lot. So I'm really excited to talk about this with you all today. I founded EDesign Tribe back in 2018 as a Facebook group. I have been practicing online interior design since 2015, and I do have an interior design degree. I actually am quite the introvert, so I prefer to work from home. And after working in New York City for a while for some trades there, I just didn't want to do it anymore. So I turned to online design, started working for the big box companies and realized this is terrible and I need to find a better way. So after a couple of years of learning their processes and then ultimately watching their demise, I came up with my own strategies. And in the Facebook group, I started teaching everybody just what I knew and sharing the information and building a community that is forthcoming and supportive. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. And everything that came out of the EDesign Tribe Facebook community has since grown into, we're actually launching a full EDesign U campus with tons of courses and certifications, and everything links to a platform that I developed with rendering software and quick sourcing and just a way to connect with brands as well. So it's all stemmed from the EDesign Tribe community and it's just taken off over the past 2 years.
That's awesome. I'm going to ask you a little bit more about that towards the end so you could talk more about that. But let's start to talk about virtual design and how do you add that into a business model?
Yeah, so this is where I have everybody start when they're, either transitioning over from an existing and thriving business that's in person, or if they're just, it's funny, I get a lot of longtime designers that have been in the game for about 20, 30 years, and they're like, how do I go online? What do I do? And my first step is always to say, who do you want to work with? Just because you worked with that person in real life does not mean that that has to be your same ideal client online. Right. So it's okay for you to say, I've done kitchen and bathrooms forever, but I really love designing, something different. Maybe you love doing office designs and now Zoom is everywhere. So you do highly functional office designs. It's okay to pivot and not work with the same client that you're used to working with in person if that's just simply not what you want to do anymore. So look for the things that you really enjoy doing when it comes to different types of styles or design, spaces or paint selections or whatever else you might currently specialize, and see how you can adapt that to the virtual space.
Good advice. In terms of things that you need to consider when you're actually thinking about virtual design, what are some of those things that people and then my listeners should be looking at?
Yeah. So virtual services, you have to look at your skills that you already have, or maybe somebody on your team already has. So do you have maybe an intern, or do you yourself create concept boards using, I prefer Photoshop. I think that is industry standard, honestly, to create the highest professionalism when it comes to concept boards. And so do you use Photoshop? Do you use a 3D rendering program already? How are you generating your shopping lists? Are you doing full construction documents or elevations? Because this will really help you to define the different types of programs that you need to transition online. And a lot of people might already be using them when they communicate with their clients in the home. It's just, how can we now take that and put it online for you to be able to reach a larger audience in a broader market?
Yes, that makes sense. And then that ties into next, how do they collaborate and then present that information to clients? What does that all entail?
Yeah, so I personally do not use a software management program just because of the way that my business is. And by the way, I am still practicing. I'm more passive now than taking one-on-one clients, because that was my goal for my business, to not really work one-on-one anymore. I really wanted to do things more passively. But anyway, when I was totally working with, 10, 14 clients a month, virtually, I did not use a software management program because my procedure was so tight in the way that I used my website to present to clients. And I organized everything with Trello and Pinterest, which are free. So if you use something like MyDoma or something like that, because you are doing very extensive work, and you do hold a lot of clients, then absolutely still use that for virtual. Whatever you're comfortable with is the next natural progression.
With that communication that you had talked about, like in terms of outsourcing, what are some tasks that would most virtual designers want to think about there?
Yeah, so part of what I'm building is actually, well, I've already built this part, but design VAs. Okay, so virtual assistants that come from the design background, they might even be designers themselves, and they highly specialize in photorealistic renders or concept boards. They could help you with sourcing or other project management pieces that you might need. If you can outsource it to somebody else that you trust, so you can really focus on the design and the things that you love in your business, do it. Outsourcing can also be a marked up service. So if you, a lot of the time, designers that are design VAs will charge one price, but if they worked for or with a client outside of it, then they might charge that, homeowner more. So you do have the potential to mark up the trade service of rendering or something else to make a little, margin there as well.
With the outsourcing, is there a certain price range you should think about, or is that variable depending on the service?
It's a great question. So it's a wild west market out there right now, but as was EDesign, until we really kind of created this community where we started talking and saying, what are you charging and what are you delivering for that price? And really setting that golden standard, which is what I have here in my directory of designers that do offer D2D services or direct-to-consumer services. We're transparent, but we also have a golden standard that we will not go below. So I don't actually accept any of these designers as featured designers on my site until they've proven that they do not go below a certain price for what they're offering, because we do not undercut each other here. That's not what this is about. So same with design VAs. We are now, with the whole new campus coming out and design VA school and certification, we actually are going to be setting pretty standard package rates, I guess you could say. So designers that are looking to source know what they're expecting and what they're getting for a flat rate.
Oh, that's awesome. So on your platform, that is already ironed out. So when they are on your platform, they don't have to worry about different pricing levels and all that, because you already taken care of that.
Well, soon. Yep, in October, actually. So we are launching the certification program on the 2nd is when it opens. And then, people still have to pass it. So right after that, we will have all the packages and all the approved designers that have taken the courses, done the capstone assessments, and that we feel confident referring to other designers, because, there's so many designers out there. There's so many great designers, but we need to make sure that if we're referring them, which we constantly are getting requests, to connect people, designers that are looking for DVAs, we just need to make sure that they know exactly what they're doing and that we can feel confident with it as well. So that's what this certification will be covering in the coming months here.
That's awesome. We've been talking to a lot of interior designers and remodelers over the last few months with all that has been happening with the coronavirus. And one of the things that we asked is what any new services that you may be wanting to implement in the next few months or in the future. And virtual design is one of them. And like I said, that's why this was one of the most asked about webinars. And one of the questions I would hear is, how do you start? And what if they don't have a whole lot of experience in the area? Is there any outsourcing opportunities? And it sounds like you actually have that covered. So
yep, working on it. Like I said, it's a wild west. there's no defined path for this. So we're really trying to define it and set a standard here.
So when you began, you said 5-6 years ago, and you didn't have anyone like you to lean on. What did you do to help you navigate the whole wild, wild west?
Oh, I Googled everything. No, I mean, I did, but I spent nights and weekends and all of my time researching better options than what were out there. And I just put in the work. I mean, that's it. You know, I'm a self-starter. And if I want to figure something out, I'm like a dog with a bone. So I will spend my entire time, like a whole weekend, figuring it out, and then I can implement it the following week. So I don't know. I just Google and watch videos.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there.
Yeah, and I also look at the fashion industry because they're a little bit more forward than interior design industry has been in the online space. So I look at what they're doing, and I kind of see how we can adapt that to the home decor market.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I never thought about that too. And yeah, that great point there. That's a great point. So for the designers out there that want to do this on their own and they're thinking about content and services and all that, what does all that entail?
Yeah, so this is where a lot of, established designers get hung up, because a lot of you all have built your business on local referrals and word of mouth, which is excellent. But it's a whole new ballgame when you turn online. Those people, yes, they're there. They can give you great testimonials, but you have to kind of start from scratch when you're building a new audience and promoting these new services that you offer digitally. So I always say, start with what you're comfortable with. For me, that was Facebook. I've been on Facebook now for almost 15 years, which is crazy. It just reminded me the other day. And that was kind of my natural place to create this group. I am terrible with LinkedIn. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I literally forget about it. And I know I should be there, but one day I'll get there. Instagram, I love it, but it sucks so much of my time out because I'm already on Facebook for so long. So for me, the natural next step was Facebook. So if you are interested in comfortable doing video, YouTube is great to start your social platform on. Instagram, TikTok, that's not my jam, but I guess people are using that these days for business. And then Facebook, and then written. So if you really like to write and that's how you express yourself, blogs and Pinterest. I forgot to add that on there, but you write a blog and then you send it to Pinterest, so you keep driving traffic that way. LinkedIn, Facebook, and then for images, Instagram, number one for that. Beautiful spaces, everybody wants to see that. Pinterest and Facebook. So those are the, depending on what your strength is and the way that you communicate with your audience, start with just one. You don't have to conquer them all right now. I still haven't conquered them all, and I do pretty okay.
Well, that's good. That's good. And the one thing that you have here is video. With the video, because we really like to promote to a lot of our clients, video is where it's at, and that's how you differentiate yourselves from the other interior designers out there. How vital is that within the virtual design world?
Mm-hmm. I'm getting way more into video. I'm going to be honest, the first few times I did lives back in 2018 when I started this group, I was terrified, shaking, absolutely shaking. I still was at a presentation that I did yesterday, and it was online, so I just kind of closed out the Zoom window so I couldn't see anybody. But so this is great that we don't have cameras on. So video is crucial. And what I do with those Facebook videos, and this actually helps, and I didn't even realize how much it was helping. When I go live in the Facebook group, it then creates the video in the Facebook group. So I download that video and then I put it on YouTube so I can reach a whole different audience. You can also add it to Instagram stories, IGTV, repurpose and recycle the content that you created one time so you can reach different markets on different platforms.
That's awesome, man. You had talked about being terrified. We actually have a client, and I had talked about this in one of our previous webinars that was against video. She hated how she looked on video, hated how she sound. And we had emphasized to her, you're going to always hate how you sound and how you look. The perfectionists out there, you just want to start. And after you start, it's going to get easier. And then now she's doing video all the time. She loves it, but it's just hard to start. And so just like you said, it was just it was just
Great
that thing that
point.
was hard to start. So
Yeah, and you know what's funny? I will not watch videos of myself over again. I will not do it. I hate listening to it. So I'll download it in silence. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to edit that because I can't listen to myself.
right. And then you had talked about here creating content for the ideal client. And what is that all about?
Mhm. Yeah, so hone in on that niche, become the expert that you already are. So if that's kitchens and baths for you, maybe you have a hyper niched area within kitchen and bath. Maybe it's a certain style, maybe it's a specialty that you do, totally custom work, whatever that is, be the expert, the go-to online for that. And maybe create a whole blog series about this niche, tailor your website to be around this niche, and then talk about it on your social media. So when somebody says, like, I need somebody that is amazing at picking tile for the whole overall plan, who am I going to go to? You need to be on the top of their mind as that person that specializes in that because they saw you on Instagram talking about it a few times. So stay consistent, stay on topic and on brand, and use a scheduling program to do that. So if you can, get all your posts for Instagram or Pinterest or whatever set in like one day or 1 week, and put them up on a scheduling program, that's going to help you to stay relevant and stay consistent with your scheduling. So you are always in the forefront of their mind. Something else that you can do to really connect with people is just spend like 15 minutes a day engaging with them, comment and be genuine about it. All these, fake comments and everything on Instagram and the fake kindness, it doesn't help anybody. Be genuine, point things out, be personalized, and make a real human connection. That's how these clients come to you.
Okay. That's great advice. That's great advice. So do you have any closing thoughts you have for our audience in terms of how to manage this whole virtual process?
Okay, yeah. Don't reinvent that wheel. I mean, the biggest thing, when I have all these established designers asking me what to do, I'm like, you already have a website. Let's work with it and just make it better. Let's fill in the gaps that maybe we're missing. Maybe you don't have a website, but you got to get one up. Use the portfolio images that you already have. Adapt your existing services to work virtually through the process. And don't be afraid to cut out things that don't serve you, that you were doing in person that you might not want to do online. For me, I went from, offering a ton of different things just because I wanted to see what I like to do. So I did virtual staging for realtors. I was a realtor and did, in-home staging after college. So I liked doing that. I liked the quick turnaround, but then I couldn't do the quick turnaround after I started getting really, really busy. So I eliminated that service. It's okay to test things, especially if you're adapting them from an in-person model and putting them online, and then eliminating or taking pieces out of it from your deliverables that don't work well for you. Lastly, just be open to new ideas and advancements in technology. Don't fight it. It's happening. And we're just going to be on the forefront of it. It's so funny to see, like a lot of luxury designers just couldn't see the value in this for such a long time. And I get it. They think that EDesign might be cheap or fast or something like that. But I think that that's because it was portrayed in such a terrible way by all of these, big bucks like the Laurel and Wolfs of the world. And we need to prove to them that that's not it. So just be open. And when you see these renders, think, how can I do that to better my service and be able to elevate my game too?
Okay. Just for me, because I didn't understand virtual staging, explain. I know what staging is, but how is that done virtually?
Yeah, so you have to be very careful about the state that you're doing it in. Let me just start with that disclaimer because some states do not allow it.
Okay.
But even if it's not on MLS, what some real estate agencies are doing is they're creating like the virtual walkthrough, in the home. But sometimes with lower budget houses, or when you have that client that doesn't want to pay to physically stage the space, there are online options for you to be able to basically drop furniture into a vacant property and be able to make it look staged. Always disclose that, you know, it's not going to look like that should you walk into the house, but this is the potential that this house has.
Okay.
I used to also change there was this one house that I did for a realtor, vibrant yellow exterior, and it sat on the market for like 3 or 4 months with no offers. So she had me change that, and then some like chartreuse green inside accents in like an overall neutral living room. So she had me just change the paint colors out and do like a soft blue or a soft gray on the exterior, and it sold within 24 hours.
Oh, wow. That's
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Yeah.
did,
So we
did you get a testimonial from her?
I did. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
If anyone here is interested in reaching out to you, how do they find you? How do they find out more about your eDesign community? How do they get in contact with you?
Yeah, if you're on Facebook, you're all welcome to join us at EDesign Tribe. That is the Facebook group. And then the platform, which has the photorealistic rendering software along with training and support, so you can get help in learning it. It's an incredible tool. It really is. You can also do shoppable 360 renders or 720 walkthroughs. So the difference is 360 is when you stand in the middle of a space and you can look all the way around that one room, and there's hot spots on the product, so you can shop them. But a 720 is when you walk through an entire house compiled of all those 360s, and you can shop every element in it. So our software does that. And we also have basically a whole affiliate program where you get a 10% affiliate commission for referring products that we have in our eShop, which is consumer facing on the front end of the EDesign Tribe website, along with our directory for our featured designers, and an opt-in that basically connects consumers coming to our site with the perfect and ideal designer for their job. So all of that is through EDesign Tribe. You do have the website, edesigntribe.com/platform. That's the one right there.
Okay.
And then lastly, eDesign U is I'm about to release a full tourable online campus for all my eDesign U courses and certification programs, a design VA school, there's a vendor building, there's a wellness building, so many things. We have a bookstore with merch. It is literally like you're in campus. We just took it and made it tourable online. So that releases on October 2nd during a live premiere.
Oh, that sounds amazing. What time is it going to happen on October 2nd?
Yep, it starts at 7 o'clock. So first we're going to tour
that
the
Eastern
building.
time?
Eastern time, yep.
Okay. Yeah, because I have, viewers from all over. So that's,
right. I always
just want to make sure they have the time right.
Yep. Yeah. If you go to edesignu.com, there is the banner on there. You can register. So you do want to register so you have the link to join us live, because at first we're going to go through the tour of the campus. The really cool thing is we opened up each inside of each of our buildings to be designed from our platform members. So they just actually submitted all those to us, and they're incredible designs. So when you walk into a space, you'll see who designed it from our platform, which could also be hired as a DVA if they offer that. And you can walk around and click and learn more about the courses and material and all that stuff when you're inside that space. So we're going to tour that first, and then I'm going to give away a scholarship, which just ended, but the scholarship giveaway, and then we're going to do trivia in the campus bar. So that'll be a fun little interactive way for us to connect a little bit more.
Awesome. Now I'm going to open it up for questions, and we actually have a lot here, so bear with us.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, like I said, this was a webinar that has been asked for a while. So
awesome.
Someone is asking, this is actually Mary is asking about marketing. How do you market a lot of this? What is the best way to market yourself in virtual design?
I do a lot with blogs. I do not pay for ads, which is just something that I haven't really had to do. I've done a few on Pinterest where it was like $1 a day and it got amazing results, but I just use social media. I built the Facebook group and I talk to people. That's it. I just, communicate and connect with people on social media and in the Facebook group. And then Pinterest is a great traffic driver to my website, but you have to have something to drive traffic too. So that would be a blog post, an opt-in, something of value that consumers actually want to read about when they come to your site.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. And then now you had talked about a scheduling software. There's a lot of them out there, but they were asking which ones would you recommend?
Yeah, I like Planoly or Plan. Both of them. I either one. There's also things like Buffer. They all
Hmm.
basically do the same thing.
Right.
I recommend just kind of seeing what their free trials are, seeing the way that you like to organize yourself, because as creatives, we all do it a little bit differently.
Right.
So go with whatever works for you. But for Pinterest, definitely Tailwind, and that is something that I teach in my courses.
Okay, and then just to a follow up on the scheduling, they said, is there an aspect of the scheduling software that they should look at in terms of virtual design that would help them out over the other options that are out there?
No, because scheduling programs are generic for everybody that wants to schedule to social media. So it's really what you produce for content that's the important thing. The planning tool just helps you to organize your grid for Instagram and be able to share that same post over to your Facebook business page and connect the accounts. So you're doing, the work one time, and then you just simply need to engage when you start posting over time. I don't recommend doing like 3 or 4 posts back to back on Instagram.
Okay.
Space them out and
Hmm.
and get in there and engage.
Okay. Awesome. Next question we have is on pricing. One of the issues that one of the followers said that they've been iffy on virtual design is because of the low pricing. So they asked, can you speak a little more about how you handle that aspect of it? Because they've heard from some clients that they can get the same design cheaper someplace else. So how do they deal with that issue?
They can. I mean, they can get it cheaper. It's not going to be as well done as a professional. I
Mhm.
worked for those big box e-design companies that do it for less. I mean, they, you know why a lot of them do not exist anymore. Let's
Right.
just put it that way. Because their quality is not great. They're outsourcing to like the Philippines where they don't understand the style. They can't get the custom work. They're basically going to Pottery Barn or Crate and Barrel to be able to source. And if that is who you want to work with, then maybe you should do something a little bit more competitive and reduce the amount of deliverables that you give them to equate for the amount of time and the price point that you're charging. But if that's not your client, somebody that's shopping at Pottery Barn and CB2 and things like that, then you need to elevate your prices, but your deliverables must match that price point. And
Okay.
if you're still doing, 2D concept boards in Photoshop and presenting your final design that way and trying to get $1,000 for that design plan, they're not going to see the value because the visuals do not equate to what they're seeing everywhere else online and that they
Right.
can get cheaper. So you have to elevate those visuals to be able to command that higher price point.
Okay. I actually had a question from Isabel, and she was asking about when you talk about the visuals and then the rendering software, you have your own, but are there any others that you would recommend?
SketchUp, Chief Architect, those two are, they're extensive. We do not do, our program does not do very highly detailed construction documents. However, you can build the floor plan and export it in AutoCAD. So you can have the CAD drawing elsewhere too. You can also import drawing files, and then basically the program builds the walls for you based off of those plans. So Chief Architect and SketchUp, Chief Architect's graphics are not great, but you
Okay.
can get highly detailed drawings on it. And then for you all, 2020 is also a great option. All 3 of these programs integrate with my program to elevate and create a shopping list and then elevate your renders, because sometimes with SketchUp, if you are proficient in that, you can get the extension render options like Podium and Lumion and stuff like that. However, they're expensive. You need an expensive computer to be able to run the programs, and then the rendering time takes a long time to
Yes.
actually produce. My rendering software renders in about 5 minutes or less.
Oh, that's amazing. And then
And it's
does
cloud
it
based.
matter what I mean in terms of the number of polygons or the space, the size? That doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter because
Oh wow.
you're basically taking the same shot. It's just a rendered vignette.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
fast. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And then what I built connects it to a embeddable shopping list to go with it. So you just built your whole shopping list at the same time that you did your render, and now you can embed that in your client presentation.
Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. We actually have a question from John, he was asking, you talked a few slides earlier about some of the other services you had tried out, but you didn't go with. He wanted to know if you could speak about some of the ones that you had tried out that were not for you, that you didn't like, that you think others may be interested in.
Yeah. Kitchens and baths. I am not a kitchen and bath designer. It's just, that's not where my career path took me. So I did a few. I actually have repeat clients that have been contacting me that I did their bathroom, and they're like, can you please, decorate my bedroom now? And I'm like, I literally can't, but here's a few referrals. So I just didn't like it, and that's me. If you have been doing kitchens and baths and you have it down to a science where now you can adapt it to online, do it. Absolutely. And see how you can make it work online. What else did I do? Paint selections. Technology is getting better in the way that we can communicate color through a computer screen. But back, when I was doing this, it was just a lot of back and forth. And I just wasn't into it. It turned out to be a little bit more time consuming than I liked. So let's see what else I did. My favorite things to do are just an accessory refresh. So that might be a holiday decorating sequence where, they just want a table setting for Thanksgiving. Let's see, a Christmas tree, whatever else they might want. Exteriors, you could do a little front porch for autumn or something like that. And you could just simply do a design plan and a shopping list. Accessories, same thing. So like style a console table and do that. My favorite one is refresh service, which is you won't be able to see them on my site anymore because I literally just took off all my in-person or my one-to-ones. But it's basically just a concept board and a shopping list, and we just collaborate that way. And then the full service that I call it full service, EDesign. That one includes the concept board, the collaboration back and forth, and then a final render after everything's been checked off and approved. Then everything goes into the final render with the shopping list, setup instructions, and follow-up interaction with me for 60 days.
Okay, awesome. Halfway, we're almost there.
Okay,
almost.
Awesome.
Like I said, there's a lot of questions. So
wow.
With your ideal client, how long did it take for you to determine, since you've been at this for about 6 years plus, they were asking, how long did it take for you to define who your ideal client was?
I always knew who my ideal client was because it is me.
Okay.
It is where I am in my life because that's who I relate to most. So that it was just an easy transition for me. Now there were some, I had to kiss a few frogs before I got there. So I was working for these other companies back in the day, and I was doing styles or working with a certain client that I just was not, it turned out in the end that I felt a little bit resentful, and I never wanted to feel that way again. So I just decided to either eliminate that design style or eliminate that type of client.
And that makes sense. That's awesome that you knew immediately who your ideal client is, because a lot of the clients we work with, that's one of the first exercises we do. And, a lot of them have no idea who their ideal client is. So that's awesome.
Well, look at yourself first and see who your friends are.
Yes.
Would you want to work with your friends? And what type of person is that? And then kind of define it.
Great point. Next one was from Valerie on outsourcing. She had talked about, since she's new right at the beginning of this year, and then the coronavirus happened, as we all know. So she's in a transition now because she's new. So with virtual design, what would you advise for her in terms of how to start?
I don't know what her skills are.
Okay.
If you want to type that in, maybe just tell me a little bit about a program that you use. Do you use render? Do you create renders? Are you proficient in sourcing? Do you have a good process down? Can you create beautiful Photoshop boards? And maybe you could help with just creating content for blog posts for designers. They give you the outline and then you help them with that. or social media. So maybe you could help them with their social media interaction as well. This is exactly why we're building this program, because I know how hard it is in the beginning to get your own clients sometimes online, because you're starting from the ground up. Everybody is. Everybody's starting at square one. So this way, the established designers that are constantly asking us for referrals, we now have a means to connect you all together, and we can create an ecosystem that is thriving and not hurting each other in this industry.
Right. Just to add on, she says her expertise, she used to run her own showroom with the last company she was with, and she was good at, product selection and also remodels, whether it be kitchen or bath.
Okay. I would definitely try and market those types of services for sourcing. I mean, if a designer already has kind of a concept in play and they're looking for help, with the tedious, where do I find this? So they're not spending all their time there, and they can outsource it to, more of a junior designer level. Think about that kind of qualification. You're just doing it online.
Great answer. Great answer. And that's awesome. Another one about the EDesign Tribe. Is that free to, all interior designers? And you had answered that, but they may have jumped on late, but I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, for the Facebook group, it's free to everybody. You're all welcome, any industry member. I literally vet every single person that applies to be sure that we don't have, people that are just there to sell us stuff. And we are, just design professionals that can contribute something to each other.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
You're all welcome.
Okay, this is one about blogging that you had talked about. One person was actually, they said they were on your tribe and they see blogs. Are those guest blogs, or is that a way for them to market? How does that whole process work?
Yep, those are only from our featured designers, and we only accept guest blogs from them because they've been vetted to be able to be in the directory. So we actually have close to 1,000 platform members right now.
Oh, wow.
But you won't see them all because either they've chosen to only join as a light member and have access to the back-end tools. Some of them, you don't have the embedding option there, and not be featured anywhere on the site. Just use the tools. But the featured members go through an application process, which also doubles as your listing in the directory. So once that's approved, then you are able to submit your renders to us to share on social media. We create we create Pinterest posts for you and keep those in circulation. And then we also have the guest blog. So right now we're just doing features on that. However, if you wanted to guest blog and write one as a featured designer, you could definitely still submit that.
Okay. How many people are part of the EDesign Tribe right now?
Oh, the community now, I want to say, is like 3,400. It blew up this year. yeah. Now, everybody was like, oh, I need that.
Was that because of the coronavirus, or was it just happening naturally anyway?
I think a lot of it's coronavirus, where, a lot of designers came on February when they're like, oh, I actually need to kind of consider going online now. But yeah, we grew about, I want to say 1,000 or so in the past since February. You can also, if you're in the group, you can come on over and search, use the search bar up there in Facebook and within the group. And if you're looking for a specific topic, we've probably talked about it. So there's so many resources in there if you just want to, and it's free. So come on over.
This is one that I don't know if you have an answer or not, but they were asking about, do you do one-on-one coaching?
Yeah, so with, I'm changing my model a little bit to take back my life, to be totally honest with you. Now with a 4-year-old here, it's a lot different than when I first planned all these things. So I did used to do a lot of one-on-ones, and then I transitioned over to group. But since I've literally been reproducing this entire course, which is a composite of 5 courses, I just don't have the time at this particular, in this month. We're also doing a designer show house. So I don't know if you've seen that press release, but that's also going on right now. So long story short, January is when I will be reopening my group mentor sessions, but each of my courses also comes with a weekly access to me when I will have office hours. So 2 hours a week, you can come and ask me questions, but January is when I'll start back up with the mentoring. I need to breathe a little bit.
Oh, that makes sense. And there was a follow-up to that. How many are in the small group?
last session I did, it was less than 15. I try and
Okay.
keep them really small so that they can connect. And I divide them up. So I did 2 different sessions this was technically a beta because I've been asked so many times before. So I just launched it this summer. And I divided them up based off of experience levels and where they are with their design. So whoever you're grouped with, my goal is to make sure that you connect with them more personally.
Okay. 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 Awesome. And I think that is all of the questions we had. Did you want to say any last minute things before we close this out?
I mean, thank you for having me. This was great. I loved all these questions. So they were all really good. I think I covered just about everything that I could today.
Yes, you did. You did. You had covered a lot. And Jenna, we actually thank for having you here today. And I'll just say, we'll love to have you back in the future because, like I said, this was one of the most on-demand webinars I've had since, we've been doing webinars, not that long, since April. But this is the topic that everybody's been asking about, virtual design.
Awesome.
So I am glad
well, I'll
to have
definitely
had
come back.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Next month, we're going to be talking about educating and coaching the interior design professional, and that's going to be on October 28th, 2020. We hope to see you all here, and you have a good rest of your week, and talk to you later. Bye-bye.